Mike Tomlin would rather say whoa than sick 'em. We all saw that one coming when he was asked about George Pickens and the frustration about not getting the ball in Atlanta. But I don't know if I could take it for face value. I think I look at the situation a little bit differently, a little bit deeper than just a pissed off coach. Maybe I'm wrong. What's going on, everybody? I'm Noah Strackbine. Thank you for jumping on to Steelers to Go, your daily to go cup of Pittsburgh Steelers news and analysis. Find us on youtube.com/all Steelers talk and subscribe to us anywhere you get your podcasts. Today, we're going to dive into the quote from Mike Tomlin on why he does not care that George Pickens is mad, is angry about not getting the football in Atlanta. A story that blew up, that I was a part of the blow up. I will admit that. And I'm not going to back away from my words. But Mike Tomlin had something to say pretty much directly to me and everybody else who was criticizing Pickens and the rookie for showing his frustration coming off the sideline, yelling, "Get me the ball." I don't know. This is what he had to say.
George Pickens, what do you tell him about wanting more targets?
I'd rather say whoa than sick 'em. I want a guy that wants to be a significant part of what it is that we do. Now, the appropriate and professional and mature way to express that, we're growing and working on, and we will continue. But that spirit, that competitive spirit, the guy that wants the ball, I want that guy. I'd imagine TJ wants to lay the quarterback down more. We got competitors. This is professional football. These guys know that they have to deliver. And so for a guy that wants to do that, I'm not going to make that a negative, no matter how silly I think the commentary is or people talking about him expressing frustrations and stuff and trying to make it a negative storyline. I laugh at that. Again, that's one of the reasons why we're continually progressing, because we're capable of tuning that BS out.
Now, there's two sides to this story. There's the side of George and Mike, coach and player, having to make that defense. Obviously, Mike Tomlin, for as long as I've known him, would never in a million years walk up to that podium, be asked about George Pickens, and say, "Yeah, man, George was in the wrong." Never. That's not what Mike Tomlin does. That's not what Mike Tomlin will ever do. He is I will defend my guys until death coach. That's how he should be. I think that's why his teams gravitate to him so well. And that's why I think he wins with really bad teams, is because he has a group, a locker room that totally trusts that this guy has their back. That, at all phases, no matter what happens, Mike Tomlin will be able to walk up to a microphone and basically say screw off to anybody who's got an issue with anybody on the team. He's a dad, essentially, a coach. The other side of this is that he did let out that things need to change a little bit. And I think that got overlooked really quick. That Mike Tomlin was like, yeah, look, he might not have handled that the best way. And they got to change it. It wouldn't surprise me if everybody in Pittsburgh is still a little nervous because of Antonio Brown. Why would you not be? You watched the biggest blow up in NFL history happen for, what's that now, 5 years and counting? Antonio Brown has been on a downward spiral ever since his late days in the Pittsburgh Steelers. And from what I've heard, they saw that coming years before. They just dealt with it because of who Antonio Brown was on the field. And that's understandable, but I don't think they want to do that ever again. I don't think Mike Tomlin, this stage in his career, I almost said late in his career, but this stage in his career, I don't think that he's looking to have a guy that he has to constantly calm down when it comes to the media, who's a public enemy, who's a team enemy, who's making it known when he's unhappy. Antonio Brown was known for a lot of crazy things. A lot. He still is. I mean, the guy's on the run. He's currently hidden in his house. Tampa Bay police are looking for him. But you got to go back. I mean, AB was the guy throwing water bottles on the sidelines, water jugs on the sidelines, making a big scene about everything. And that's got to stick with them too. That's got to worry the Pittsburgh Steelers as well, as much as anything else, because when it comes to George Pickens, he's a very polite guy. I said this in my last episode. He's a guy that I got no issues with when it comes to his personality and who he is off the field. I thought he was a very, very nice young man. From the second I saw him, I thought all those really bad things that people say about him, about how he's a hothead and he's got an attitude, blah, blah, blah. I didn't really believe him the first couple of times I saw him. Now I'm starting to get it a little bit. And I just don't think Mike Tomlin wants to take a chance that any of that is true. So I think the Steelers are going to work with George Pickens. I think that they will address how he handled the situation. And I don't think they're going to yell at him. I don't think they're going to tell him that he did anything wrong. I think how they're going to handle it and how the situation will be approached is Mike Tomlin will sit down, maybe Frisman Jackson's in the room, and they just show the clip and they say, hey man, look at, like, there's cameras all around you at all times during these games. Frustration's going to happen. Totally understandable. We want you to be involved as much as you want to be involved. You got to understand that you're always being watched and that those things are going to hit the public eye and they're going to look bad and they're going to look like you're going against your team, and you can't do that. You know, you got to be able to handle that in a more private manner and address those situations without the world being able to see them. I truly believe that's how the sit-down meeting will go. I think George will understand it. He'll get pissed off that the media is a real thing. Most players do. And he'll adjust moving forward. I would guarantee you, I'd put a pretty big bet on it. I wouldn't guarantee anything. I'd put a pretty big bet that this is the last time we see George Pickens lash out publicly in a while. I would also imagine that it's the last time George Pickens really addresses it in a while. He'll probably give an apology, you know, once he talks in a couple of days. I would imagine he talks this week. But outside of that, I just think that it's just going to be a lot of, they have to solve the issue. They're going to solve the issue in-house, and then they'll just move on. And that'll be it. Because the other side of the story is, you have to believe that Mike Tomlin really is pissed that people are out here causing such a big scene about George Pickens and his attitude. And again, I was part of that scene. I am part of that scene. I still believe that George Pickens is somebody that you don't have to worry about. It's way too early to worry about him. And you should always feel better when somebody wants to be involved. But this is a pattern, and patterns concern me. They get overlooked by a lot of people, but to me, they concern me. And I think that Tomlin is really not okay with people already labeling George Pickens. So I believe that side of it. But I also believe the side that Mike Tomlin is totally aware that he just got rid of the worst wide receiver and the worst attitude problem he's ever had to deal with. And he never, ever wants to deal with something like that again. Well, George Pickens might be the second best wide receiver to come through Pittsburgh outside of Antonio Brown. That's box number one out of box number two checked when it comes to what AB did. He was a phenomenal wide receiver, and he caused a lot of issues. George Pickens is a phenomenal wide receiver. The last thing Mike Tomlin wants to see is him cause issues. So you have to believe both sides of the story, both sides of the quote. And I think Mike Tomlin does too. I don't think any of it was show. I don't think any of it was fake. And I think we should take the entire thing, the entire response, to heart and believe every bit of it, every word. Because I think both sides of the story have some truth and have some substance that we should latch onto.